Arey sir, why don't you make speaking videos on the PT exam for the scores of 50s or 60s or 70s? These are the kind of comments that I'm getting on the YouTube, and so this time I thought ki chalo bhai, let's start looking for the people starting from the scores of 50s, 60s, 70s. So whatever you want, whichever score you want to target, you can still use the same technique that I am going to show you in this particular video. So what are you waiting for? Watch it till the end. Hey everyone, this is Anurag here from Edutrainex PTE. I hope you all are doing great. So there was a student from Australia who was getting never above 65 in speaking section. Forget about 65, I'm saying below 60 she was getting. But after following these particular techniques that I'm going to share with you, her target was 65. So I said, let's start aiming for higher. Maybe you can get higher, or at least you will get to your target score, which was 65. And finally, do you know how much she got? She managed to crack 79. She got an 85 score. You can see on the screen. And this is a true story. So why don't you join the list of those successful students who are ready to fix the basic problems and then try to learn the techniques that we are teaching them? Hundreds of people are getting there. If you are not able to do it by yourself, then you can join our course where we will guide you for a proper comprehensive course, giving you app access and everything. Just like and subscribe and watch this video till the end to learn the art of speaking in the PT exam, whatever your target score is. So the first thing that you see in the PT speaking module is the read aloud. And there are many popular questions about the read aloud, sir, whether the one-liner strategy is working or whether the skip the word strategy is working, which particular strategy is working or not. So this is like the same question if Pat Cummins, the Australian cricketer bowler, if he asks MS Dhoni one particular question, sir, can I use your helicopter shot? This is the same question that you are asking, sir, can I use the one-liner strategy? So that same technique can work for some people. For some people, it will not work. And you know the reason why? Those are the basic things I have always tried to tell you to improve. Unless you fix your pronunciation issues, unless you fix your fluency issues, the strategies will not work. And if you fix these issues, then every strategy will start working for you up until to the point that you satisfy all the PT scoring criteria. So let me tell you the story of the girl which I showed you the score before, who managed to get 85. She's from Australia and started speaking like Australian accent. Come on, mate. Hello, how are you? That kind of accent was coming in her voice, which was not natural for her. So I asked her to lose the artificial pronunciation and fluency, just speak naturally. Okay. And when she started doing that, when she started fixing her fluency issues, pronunciation issues, you have already seen how much she managed to crack. And this is the type of thing that you have to do. So strategies come later, but first things first, you have to fix the basic issues which are related to pronunciation and fluency. I will cover them towards the end of this particular video, where you can also learn the technique how to fix your pronunciation. You have to listen and try to understand whether I'm making mistakes while I'm pronouncing. Not let any of the AIs decide it for you, okay? Because if you are from different parts of the world, you will have some kind of accents, or you will pronounce some of the words very differently, which is not very natural to the PTAI. So that is what you need to improve, and once you start fixing them, your scores automatically improve, just like the girl. So let's see what you need to do for the read aloud question. Now, read aloud question is very, very important. You all know that it contributes heavily to your speaking. It contributes heavily to your reading as well. So it contributes roughly around 40 points, and this is not just a theory. This is not just an assumption. I have showed you some results of the experiments of the mock test and the real PT test as well, where we just attempted the speaking module, but we still saw roughly 40 marks added to the reading module, and that is a result of the read aloud. So what is happening with the one-liner strategy and what is happening with the full strategy where you are just skipping the words? See, whether you are targeting 50 or 60s or 70s, same strategy you can use, but the way you are speaking is important. So let's say you are just trying to speak the one line. Okay, on this screen you are seeing multiple lines, and this is the first sentence here, ending here. But maybe in the exam you may see up until here, till United, as the first line, which is what you are targeting to read. But look at the words here. Now, people who are not able to get the scores of 50s or 60s, they may be making some mistakes in the pronunciation, or maybe making some mistakes in the fluency. Absolutely, for sure. You are making the mistakes. That's why none of the strategies are working for you. So you have to identify, see, one line, you speak one line or you speak the whole thing. It's the number or percentage of errors or the problems that you have in your speaking. So that is how the AI will determine your score. So whether you speak one line perfectly, if you can do that, then it will click. If you can't do that, then the same amount of score you will get even if you read the whole thing. I hope you are getting my point. Fix the basic things first. 50 score is very, very easy. 60s, 70s is also manageable for people with very, very high problems in pronunciation and fluency. But try to start fixing them. How you need to fix them? I have shared several videos on the various aspects of fluency, the speed, the pausing, the intonation, whatever you have to use in the fluency. I have shared it there. You can see that video. I will put it in the description as well. But those are the tips for fluency. And for pronunciation, it's very obvious. You have to pronounce the words very, very naturally. I'll share the tips towards the end of the video, as I said before. Let's try to read this. Okay, if I read this as analysts were impressed by the improvements in margin reported across all the regions apart from the United. So what did I do? I did not pronounce many of the words properly, like impressed, improvements, reported, apart. All these words I did not pronounce properly. So what the AI is going to do, even though I have spoken one line, it's going to give me very, very low marks. Why? Because the number of errors within the short sentence is huge. Okay. Whereas if I try to speak the whole thing, I may do a little better. Why? Because there are more number of words and the chances of errors becomes less if you speak more. But you still need to maintain your fluency, and as much as fluency and pronunciation you have to try. So let's try it that. Analysts were impressed by the improvements in margins reported across all regions, apart from the United. So if I am reading just one-liner, I will stop here. But the way I spoke was very, very fluent. I stopped at the comma, took a pause. My speed was very fine. Every word that I spoke was very, very clearly audible. So this is the kind of thing you have to do. Now, it's up to you whether you want to use one-liner or you want to just read the whole thing. Of course, you can skip the difficult words. Let's say some of the words are very difficult for you to pronounce. And you know that when I'm going to read this, my tongue is going to twist. I'm going to fumble. I'm going to hesitate. So just ignore it in the 40 seconds preparation time in your mind. Make a mental note that, okay, when I read it, I'm going to ignore this. And then when you do that, you speak very, very fluently. So for example, if I am reading the second sentence from here and said that this reflected a clear effort to improve across the business. See how I just fluently skipped this particular word, profitability. Maybe I'm going to fumble. So I just took a mental note. I'm going to skip it. That's what you need to do for read aloud. Now let's move on to the next important question, which is the repeat sentence. What happens in the repeat sentence is you get a sentence, sometimes lengthy sentence. What will you do? Many people ask me the questions, sir, whether I should focus on the first half, whether I should focus on the second half. How can I get 50s? How can I get 60s score? But I'm missing it all the time. Sometimes the audio is so long that I can't remember anything. What is the mistake that you are doing? First of all, look at the video where I have exclusively mentioned all the details, how to attack this particular question, weightage and everything. I'll cover them shortly again in this video as well. But if you want elaborate explanation, watch that particular video. Again, I'll put the link in the description or you can just search on our channel. So what do you need to do? What is important here? Fluency definitely is still important. Pronunciation definitely is still very, very important. What about the content? Not very, very important. I'll show you the weightage shortly, but how do you manage it? Even if the sentence is very, very lengthy, you can still find out if the question is going to be lengthy, and then you just stop listening after the first half of the sentence, so that at least you can reproduce a lot better if you listen only half of it. Because if you try to remember the whole thing, if it is huge, then you mess up completely. So stop that particular mistake and you will see a good amount of improvement in your scores wherever you are trying, even the Pearson official mock test. So content wise, you are only given 3 marks, but rule number 1 is pronunciation. Fix your pronunciation. Again, rule number 2 is fix your fluency issues and then focus on the content. Okay. So rule number 3, where we talk about the content, it's only 3 points, right? And if you match 100%, for very short sentences, you still get 3 points. If you just say anything above 60%, right? 60 to 70%, you still get 3 points. Okay. So 100% as well as what I showed in the previous video, 60 to 70% as well. If you are able to recall and say it fluently, you can still get 3 points, 3 out of 3 for content. But for people who are targeting 50s, 60s or 70s, try to range in this area. 50%, at least I have to speak 50% of whatever I heard fluently. I can still get 2 points out of 3 for content, and if you maintain the fluency part, if you maintain the pronunciation part, you can still get a high score. 12 out of 13 is still above 90%. Okay, so this is the range you have to target. None of you should target in this range. So only 10%, which is less than 50% in repeat sentences, you can still achieve a 50 score, but you only get 1 point. Make sure it is enough words. If there are not enough words, then it will not be able to judge your fluency. So for people aiming for very, very low scores, what they usually do is they append a term because they don't remember the rest of the sentence. So let's say the university provides vast range of courses. I just remember the university provides. The university provides, thank you very much. To achieve the fluency, to achieve the pronunciation, to achieve the flow, to give the AI something to calculate, right? Just don't give 3 words. Do something like this so that it reaches a score of 50. Only for the people who are aiming for a score of 50. But for the people who are aiming for the score of 60s, 70s, try it in this range. And I will shortly show you, this is how much the points are contributed, roughly 30 points for speaking and for listening as well. Now, how do I know whether it's a lengthy question? Now see, this is the how the layout of the question will be in the exam, and it will say beginning in how many seconds, and this will say beginning in 3 seconds. So basically this is the audio player, this is the audio recorder. So after 3 seconds, audio player will be playing the audio, and after 8 seconds the recorder will begin. That means 8 minus 3, 5 seconds is the length of the audio. If you see any length like 9 seconds, 10 seconds, if you see it here, that means you have to understand that this is going to be a longer audio. Okay, and if you see like 6 seconds, 7 seconds, then it's going to be a very shorter audio. So this is your clue to understand if it is going to be a longer sentence, and then you just listen to the first half. So basically when the audio player is playing, basically just listen till here if it is a very long audio. Okay, got it? This way you can still understand and remember the 50% audio what was spoken to you, and you can still get good marks. Definitely 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. Right now, next coming to describe image, we have made elaborate videos on describe image, how they are affected in the exam starting from November 2024. So this is the kind of template that people had been using before. What is wrong with this template? Basically, I'm not speaking enough. I'm just saying keyword. I have pre-memorized a template, which is picture is very informative. I have to speak about it for 40 seconds. I can see maximum, minimum. Am I speaking anything relevant to the image? No. What we need to do is add relevance to the image. And what is relevance? What is expected from you in the exam is that you speak, brother, you speak. Basically, don't just say keywords. I can see this, 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 this. I can see this, 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 this. This is not what is expected. This is not how you speak the English language or any language. Do you do that in your own language? When you speak in your own language, and when someone asks you to describe an image, do you just say, I can see this, this, this in your own language? You don't do that, right? So the same thing is sounding very artificial in the exam if you do that. You're just saying memorized templates, memorized sentences. What you need to do? Sound like a person, okay? Not like a computer. Computer is checking the exam. Don't sound like a computer to the computer itself. I can see this. I can see this. I can see this. Stop doing that. This kind of template is not going to work. But how do I still get 50s? How do I still get 60s? I am unable to speak phrases. Sir, I am unable to speak phrases. What will I do? So there is a very elaborate video that I made for describe image. I have given you hundreds of samples of how you can design your own template. But let's look at another type of template which you should avoid again at any cost. Again, everything is pre-memorized. Popular debate about whether true or false appears to be true and blah, blah, blah. And then you are just putting some keywords over here. So these things also you need to avoid. These kind of templates, if you have been using, you have to avoid. Okay. Now this particular thing is still applicable to the PTE academic exam, and the previous things that I told you for read aloud and repeat sentence for both the exams, they are applicable. For describe image, these changes right now it is applicable for academic, but we don't know what will happen in the future for the PT core exam. So if you guys keep asking me questions, sir, does it affect the PT core exam? It is not until now, but it may happen in the future, and it may come as a surprise if the Pearson does not disclose it. So which kind of template can we use? This kind of template. This is what I was talking to you about. The first sentence, you have a long title. Whether you see the title in the image or not, you have to come up with a title. 25 seconds are given to you to prepare. Think about that, what you are going to speak. First sentence and last sentence, you have to speak phrases, and minimum, you have to speak more than 30 seconds. Okay, less than 30 seconds, you will go for a manual check. So whether you are targeting 50s or 60s, whatever score, it will drop down to 0 for this particular question. Okay, so don't try to ever speak below 30 seconds. Always speak more than 30 seconds, and try to aim for, making phrases at least in 2 places. The remaining places for the 50s, 60s, 70s score, like you can use keywords and try to use multiple keywords like in these sentences. 1, 2, 1, 2, and in different places, so that it doesn't sound like a cluster or it doesn't sound like a sentence with only one keyword. Okay, 2 phrases, and this type of template, if you use it in the exam, or structure, if you use it in the exam, you can easily get 65. Okay, and now when you are targeting higher scores, what do? You reduce the number of keywords from here. You remove keyword 3 and 4 and put a phrase. You remove the keyword 5 and 6 and you put a phrase. You remove the keyword 6 and 7, whatever the number is, sequence is, you put a phrase. The more number of phrases will give you higher marks for extended speaking, which is why I'm asking you whether you are targeting 50s or 60s. Speak a phrase at least in the first line and at least in the last line. Alright, so this is the type of template or the structure that you should be targeting for lower scores in the exam. For higher scores, I already gave you the tips how you can improvise this particular template or the series of templates that I gave in the describe image. You can just modify the sentences to include phrases instead of the keywords. Moving on to Retell Lecture, which is part of only academic exam, not for the PT core exam. Again, similar templates, what we saw to the describe image, these kind of templates has to be avoided at any cost because you are not speaking enough. The speaker was discussing keyword. I can hear keyword. I can hear keyword, and I can hear keyword and keyword. What are you doing? You're not speaking. You are just memorizing something and just adding some words that you noted from the lecture, and you are just speaking a monotonous response, and this will result till definitely speaking less than 25 seconds, and you have to speak more than 30 seconds. For Retell Lecture, I will say try to be close to 35 seconds, not even 30 seconds, 35 seconds, because this is a content based question. This is also contributing to your listening module. So you have to speak more and more to show that, okay, yes, I heard and I'm able to reproduce that. Even sometimes you have to repeat the same set of keywords, making some different phrases out of the same words. Okay, you can do that. Definitely, that is not a problem. But these kind of templates have to be avoided at any cost. And these kind of templates as well. This is a bit longer than the previous version that I showed you just on the screen. What is wrong here is, again, the sentences are longer, but again we just have keywords, 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 keywords and keywords. It does have a good structure, and these kind of structures were working in the exam up until 2024, but these have stopped working now. So what do I need to do now? There is only one technique in Retell Lecture. Okay, don't go for any keyword based template. You have to put a phrase in every line that I show you. I have shown you this template elaborately in the Retell Lecture video, especially that I made for this particular question before. Everywhere you have to speak phrases, and you have to try to speak more than 30 to 35 seconds. So the lecture was about, we explain the topic. What was the topic? Probably you will hear it in the first 10 to 20 seconds. The lecture was about the decision-making process of humans. Firstly, he or she talked about, explain what was heard, avoid harming to others. Then she explained something else, and then how something else also happened. So you have to just try to use the combination of subject, verb, object, or whatever comes to your mind. Grammar is not marked in this question as well as in the describe image question. So speak whatever comes to your mind, just speak fluently and clearly, and make phrases. When I say phrases, you have to speak more than 5 words. Okay, if you don't speak more than 5 words, if you don't make phrases, then the extended speaking scores, it falls down and doesn't give you the score that you are looking for. And then you start complaining, sir, I used your template, it did not work. Sir, I used that template, I did not work. I'm changing the templates from this YouTube channel from the last 5 attempts. Nothing is working, sir. None of your templates are working. You all are just misguiding us. Is that true? Is that really true? Are we misguiding you? I'm telling you clearly that you have to make a phrase and it has to be more than 5 words long. And if you are not able to do that in the exam, then what can we do there? It is the PT AI that is making that judgment. And if you speak less than 25 seconds, where what I told you before, it is going for a manual check. And if they find out that you are just speaking keywords or pre-memorized templates, they are going to give you a 0. Not even a good decent amount of score you can get from that question. So avoid those things at any cost. And now we will talk about how to improve your pronunciation, which is crucial for your PT speaking module. Steps to improve your pronunciation. If you already know that, you can skip it, but I would definitely recommend you to watch this. Work with simple sentences. Firstly, you need to identify, right? What mistakes am I making? The AI is going to give you score and breakdown of this word is wrong, this word is wrong, but how will you know? What is the pattern? So you have to identify pattern, like is it the word ending with ed, asked, provoked? Am I speaking like this? Or do I have another pattern, percentage instead of percentage? Am I speaking sir and sure? Or what other? Am I stressing too much on recommend? So what is wrong with my pronunciation? Those things you need to identify first. That is step number 2. Start working with simple sentences. Step number 2 is identify the patterns. And then step number 3 is very simple. Just go on Google, type the word that you are struggling with, or type the word like recommend space pronouns. It will give you a pronunciation as well. You play it, you listen to it, you rehearse it a long time. And the same pattern of words, you find the words starting with R or ending with R or ending with ED. You can just Google it, find hundreds of words. Practice them every day so that at least to some percentage your pronunciation is improving. Okay, and you will see the reflection in your exam scores if you do that. And then once you are thorough with the words, you start practicing those words in sentences and then gradually move to reading paragraphs. So gradual steps, one step at a time, one day at a time, you improve and you finally get there. Okay, don't straight away go to practicing questions and believing the AI score will one day improve. That is not going to happen, my friend. So unless you take prudent actions, careful actions, today will show you the results tomorrow. Absolutely. You saw the results of the student, fixed her pronunciation, fixed her fluency, and you saw the scores, like above 79, she was able to crack it. Even if you're not able to crack 79, you can still get the scores that you have been asking me for. 50s, sir, 60s, sir, 65, you can get that kind of score. But fix yourself to some extent, okay? And if you want to practice the questions like repeat sentence, read aloud, we do have the prediction files available on our YouTube channel. Just become a YouTube member and you will get access to all of them, including the PT core questions. Starting from the last month, we have included them as well. So respond to situation, write email, everything will be there for you. All types of questions from the recent exam, you will get it there. And if you haven't watched our video on the PT writing experiments that we conducted in January, please go and watch it. And for paid sessions, you know what to do. Just WhatsApp us. We will help you with the full course, help you pass the exam, clear the exam with app access, very comprehensive course. Keep watching Edutrainex and I'll soon be back with another super informative video on PT topics. See you soon.